What's more important, a mental health diagnosis or a practical solution? In today's video, I'll be revealing 4 mental health diagnosis traps that will cause you to sacrifice the rest of your life and force you to live a mentally ill lifestyle. What that means is that these traps destroy your emotional strength to cope and cause you to sacrifice your jobs, sacrifice your relationships, sacrifice your ambitions, and sacrifice your goals, just in order to survive and get through life. So, to help prevent that from happening to you, at the end of this video, I'll be revealing 4 essential steps that you must take in order to avoid these mental health diagnosis traps from affecting you. Hi, this is Adewale Ademiwa from StressTherapist.net, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 5 of the Take Back Control snippets. If you're an employee, a student, or a parent, and your anxiety, your depression, or your high stress levels is frustrating your efforts to make progress and move forward in your jobs and your relationships, this show will give you the keys to unlock your life and take back the territory those difficult emotions have stolen from you. Let's return to that question. What's more important, a mental health diagnosis or a practical solution? You might be in the camp that thinks, how can you have a practical solution without a proper diagnosis? Or you might be in the camp that thinks, I don't really care about a diagnosis as much as I do the solution. I just want to be fixed. But before I tell you which camp is right or wrong, I'd like to first break down these 4 mental health diagnosis traps that I've come across in the last 21 years of my mental health profession. So, trap number 1. Trap number 1 is a subtle but brutal mental health misdiagnosis trap. You see, many mental health problems tend to mimic each other. And because doctors rely heavily on how you describe your experience in order to give you a diagnosis, it can become rather difficult to distinguish one diagnosis from the other. So the doctor has to also rely on his intuition and experience in order to make a diagnosis. The problem with that is that this has led to so many drastic mistakes across the years. I've seen many people misdiagnosed and forced into early retirement or put on permanent disability for the rest of their lives. I've seen people diagnosed with bipolar had their lives ruined, only to find after 15, 20 years that they really just had major depression and the antidepressants they were given was what was triggering their manic episodes. And once they stopped taking the antidepressants, their bipolar disappeared. But that was after a big part of their lives had been wasted. It's simply murderous. These doctors steal years from you. Years you can never get back. They move on with their lives, enjoying their career, whilst you are left chained to the repercussions of their mistakes. So, the second trap is the overgeneralized mental health diagnosis trap. You see, most diagnoses tend to generalize people into categories. There's so many umbrella terms that broadly cover a whole multitude of conditions. And personally, I feel it's unfair to be referred solely as being anxious, depressed, or agoraphobic when every single experience of depression, anxiety, and agoraphobia is different. So really, for most people, these are all just symptoms of a larger condition. Because someone is given a diagnosis of agoraphobia, doesn't mean that their problem is as simple as, I cannot go out. There's so much more to it. Sure, the diagnosis can give professionals a good sense of direction, but I believe that I did not fully understand emotional difficulties until I began to look beyond the diagnosis. I feel that mental health professionals need to take more time to listen and understand each person's problems for themselves before attempting to help heal, rather than simply looking at the headline diagnosis and thinking, I get it. Now, the third trap is the shoehorning mental health diagnosis trap. You see, a common big problem I found with mental health diagnosis is that once you get given one, almost every other health professionals you come across just overlook other important issues you are having, and they just conclude that it must be because of the mental health issue. So you could have a physical health problem that's the root cause of your mental health problem, but they just ignore it. So you're treated as if all your problems are psychological, even though you have physiotherapists, osteotherapists, or other professionals or other physicians telling you that you may have a physical health problem that may be promoting a mental health problem. Despite this, your doctor still refuses to send you for adequate tests because they all believe that your concerns are all just in your head. It can be really frustrating. There needs to be a holistic perspective to mental health diagnosis. You don't need someone somewhere who hardly knows you concluding that your problem is purely psychological and then shoehorning you into a corner for the rest of your life. Now, the fourth and final trap is this misguided faith in mental health diagnosis trap. This trap occurs because if you've known for years that something is not right with you and you've never been able to put your finger on it, knowing what you're suffering from can provide that light bulb moment of clarity. You get a boost of hope that you finally have a medical name for what you've been going through. And that label can allow you to research the illness for yourself, help you find others who are going through similar things so you can talk to other people and not feel so alone. And this may even give you hope of getting your life back. But the problem with this is that most people I've met, this is where the progress stops. It was as if their doctors felt that once they have come to a diagnosis, the job was done. So the doctor leaves you to fend for yourself. The sad truth is that a diagnosis without an adequate treatment plan would eventually leave you stuck. You still need practical solutions and professional guidance that can get you back to wellness and give you your life back. And now, just to ensure that you never fall for any of these mental health diagnosis traps, here are the 4 essential steps you must take in order to avoid them. So, the first tip is to eradicate potential diagnosis mistakes. You see, most people don't realize that they don't have to settle for one doctor's opinion. You can get a second, a third, and a fourth opinion. And the benefits of this is that it enables you to feel confident in the diagnosis and the plan. Because if 4 doctors, 4 psychologists, 4 psychotherapists all come up with the same or similar diagnosis and treatment plan, there is a higher chance, there's a greater chance that that diagnosis and the plan is correct for you. So make sure you request for at least one more doctor's opinion before taking on the plan given to you. The second is that you need a clear pathway that ensures forward movement, forward progression. Now that you know your diagnosis, what changes do you need to make to help you move consistently forward towards well-being? So ask to have this clearly stated, and if possible in a step-by-step format. Granted, this might change as time goes on, but it's good to have something tangible to work towards. So as an example, a forward plan for depression might look something like this. We'll first start you on antidepressants to help you feel some energy and motivation. And then we will engage you with behavioral activation to help you bring back some structure to your day. And then we'll help you work on stopping negative thinking cycles, which should then help you feel more positive about life. Then we will engage you in confidence building and problem solving strategies. So you'll need a plan that looks similar to that. The third tip is to be clear about potential obstacles that you will come across, obstacles to your progress. Because you see, as you start on the road towards wellness, you will come across so many obstacles. So it helps to be pre-warned so that when these obstacles occur, they don't discourage you and derail your progress. One common obstacle people encounter is ignorant family members. Family members who place expectations on you that you cannot meet. Another common obstacle people don't expect is that in most cases, progress requires repetition of strategies. So you'll be needing to do things over and over and over before they stop being a problem. So for example, you may need to practice distracting yourself from negative thoughts repeatedly because they keep coming back and they keep coming back. Now, if you are not aware that it's natural for these negative thoughts to keep coming back, you will feel like there's something wrong with your abilities and then give up before the experience helps you gain the progress you're working so hard for. The final tip to preventing the mental health diagnosis traps is to make sure you measure your progress. The benefits of doing this are countless, but I'll name a few. Because you see, if you don't measure your progress, you're bound to feel disappointed that your progress towards getting better is stagnant. Because unfortunately, while you're still in recovery, it's extremely difficult to be objective with your self-assessment. You will only see the negatives and naturally discount the positives. And in a strange way, this discourages you, making you feel depressed and keeping you in that negative cycle that then feeds a downward spiral. But if you measure your progress, you begin to see tiny movements forward that encourages you, that the actions you're taking are helping you get closer to your goals. This creates a positive spiral that you need to motivate yourself to keep at it. So in addition, measuring the progress helps you know if certain steps you're taking are not working, so you can change the course of action and not waste too much time doing the wrong things. So these are the 4 steps. And sadly, if you ignore them, you will have a greater chance of falling for one of the 4 mental health diagnosis traps that I have listed today. But if you proactively follow these steps, I can guarantee you that you will find your road to recovery will feel a lot smoother and a lot faster.